Drive any farm road across the Texas Panhandle this summer, and you will still pass them. Hand-painted egg signs, nailed to fence posts, weathered gray at the corners. Most of them have not been changed since the winter of 2025, when a dozen eggs was the most expensive thing in an American grocery cart. Those signs are still standing, and almost every price written on them is now wrong by $5 or $6. Hold that picture in your mind. It comes back at the end, and when it does, it explains everything else. Somebody sat down not long ago and wrote out the numbers of Texas agriculture. $32 billion a year, 127 million acres, 247,000 farms, an empire built on steel and sweat, they called it. And it was true when it was written. It is not true now. Not one of those anchor numbers has held. Some of them moved a little. Some of them moved so far that the story they were telling has turned completely around. And the part that used to be the tragedy is now the surplus. And the part that used to be the surplus is now the worry. That is what this is about. Not a tour of Texas farming. A reckoning with what happened to it while everybody was still quoting the old figures. And here is why this matters to you, whether you have ever set foot on a section of grass or not. Every number in the next few minutes ends up in your kitchen, not in a headline. In your cart, at the checkout, on a Tuesday. Start with the land, because the land is where the arithmetic stops being comfortable. The most recent full agricultural census counted 125,417,000 acres of Texas land in farming and ranching. 5 years before that, it was 127 million. Texas gave up about 887 acres a day, every day, for 5 straight years. Nobody announced it. No bulldozer showed up on the evening news. It went one estate sale, one survey stake, one new fence line at a time. The farm count went from 248,416 down to 230,662. 17,700 operations gone. And the average Texas farm grew from 511 acres to 544, which is the polite way of saying the land did not disappear. It changed hands. Fewer people are holding more of it. Now hold that against this. In the same stretch of years, Texas net farm income was projected to climb by more than $5.5 billion in a single year, a jump of roughly 41%. Read those two facts side by side, and you have the whole modern condition of American agriculture in one line. Bigger tractors, fewer sheds to keep them in. The business got richer. The number of people in it got smaller. If that landed somewhere in your chest, do something for me before we go further. Hit that like button, and if you have not subscribed yet, do it now. Not because the algorithm needs feeding. Because this channel exists to keep saying the quiet part about land and family and money out loud, twice a week, and every subscriber makes it a little harder to ignore. That is the whole pitch. Back to work. Take the dairy barns first, because that is where Texas has been winning while nobody was watching. A milk cow eats her way through roughly 100 pounds of feed and forage in a day and drinks something close to a full bathtub of water. She gets milk twice a day, every day, holidays included. It is the least romantic job in agriculture and the most relentless, and Texas has gotten extraordinarily good at it. In the most recent full production year, the average Texas dairy cow gave 26,159 pounds of milk. That was more than New York, more than Wisconsin, more than Idaho, more than California, by better than 2,000 pounds a head. Over 5 years, Texas added 3 2,376,000,000 pounds of annual milk production, the largest absolute gain of any state in the country. That is the part of the Texas story that actually got bigger. Almost nothing else did. Out west of the hill country, the goat herds still move at first light, and the war out there has not changed in 150 years. Texas runs more goats than any other state in the Union, raised for meat and milk and mohair, on ground too rough and too dry to grow much else. And every one of those herds is being watched from the brush by something with yellow eyes and infinite patience. The coyote does not fight a rancher. He waits him out. Which is why the real defense out there is not fence and not a rifle. It is a guardian dog raised inside the herd from a pup who does not think of the goats as livestock. He thinks of them as family, and he will put himself between them and the tree line without being told. That is not training. That is instinct, aimed on purpose. Now the poultry houses, and this is where the old story flips completely upside down. The version of this story that got told a year and a half ago was a story of collapse. Bird flu tearing through laying flocks. Barns emptied by the million. A shortage that put eggs on the evening news and made a dozen the most talked about item in America. In the spring of 2025, the average retail price of a dozen eggs in this country hit $6.23. Here is where it stands now. This past May, that same dozen averaged $2.19, down about 35% from a year before. At wholesale, some grades fell below $1 earlier this year, the lowest since 2019. The national table egg flock climbed from roughly 292 million hens back up to more than 308 million. The shortage did not just end. It turned into a glut. And yet, the thing that caused it never left. Since 2022, close to 185 million birds raised for food have been killed by this outbreak or destroyed to stop it. In the first 2 months of this year alone, producers depopulated more than 12 million commercial layers, more than double what was lost in the entire second half of the year before. As of the most recent federal update, it was still turning up in commercial flocks across a dozen states. So the price collapsed while the disease kept spreading. Both of those are true at the same time. That is not a contradiction. New pullets go into the same barns that were emptied. That is what happens when an industry gets very good at replacing what it loses and stops asking why it keeps losing it. Do me a favor right here, because this is the one number every single person watching has touched personally. Go check what a dozen eggs costs where you are standing this week and put it in the comments. City, town, whatever you are comfortable saying. I want to see the spread, because the national average is an average, and averages have never once paid anybody's grocery bill. I read those. Now, the drought, which is the other number that moved. The old telling had a third of Texas burning up. Roughly 90,000 square miles, 34% of the state, under severe drought. This month, the drought monitor puts about 25% of Texas under active drought, a little under 67,000 square miles, with another 24% sitting in the abnormally dry category right behind it. Better, not fixed. Half the state is still either in it or one hot month away from it, and the seasonal outlook favors the dry hanging on across the southern part of the state. In this country, drought does not end. It takes furloughs. Corn feels it first because corn is thirsty and will not negotiate, which is why so much panhandle ground went to sorghum instead. Sorghum takes the heat, takes less water, and most importantly, to a man watching his operating note, it goes through the same combine already sitting in the shed. No new machine, no new debt. The header rolls in, the heads come off the stalks, the grain gets threshed and augured into a truck running alongside without either one stopping. That is not romance. That is a decision made with a calculator. And then there is cotton, and cotton is the number that hurts. Texas is still the largest cotton state in the Union, and the Southwest region still plants roughly 64% of all the upland cotton in America. But last season, Texas cotton acreage fell to its lowest level since 2015. National planted area came in around 9.25 million acres, the second lowest in a decade. This year it recovered a little, to somewhere near 9.5 million. Here is the figure that tells the truth, though. Abandonment. The share of acres planted that never get harvested at all. This season, it is projected near 23%. Nearly 1 row in 4 goes in the ground, gets fertilized, gets sprayed, gets paid for, and never sees a stripper. That is the real Texas cotton economy, not the bale count. The acres that were bought and buried. Vegetables carry on quietly underneath all of it. Onions, potatoes, spinach, all of it increasingly machine-cut and machine-loaded, because labor costs money and a machine does not have to be found. Except in the Rio Grande Valley, where the citrus still comes off by hand. Grapefruit does not survive a machine. It comes off 1 fruit at a time, into a bin, in heat that will put a man on the ground, for piece rates that would not cover a tank of diesel. And that is the piece of this empire that is genuinely breaking. By federal estimate, about 42% of hired crop workers in this country lack work authorization. Enforcement has tightened hard. Growers up and down the valley report crops lost in the field this year for the simple reason that nobody came. Somebody will say, then hire Americans. So here is the number, and I want you to sit with it. Under the guest worker program, employers are required by law to advertise every position domestically first. In 2025, out of more than 400 to 15,000 advertised farm jobs, 182 received an American applicant, not 182,000. 182. That is not a labor shortage. That is a country that has quietly decided somebody else will do it, and has not yet decided who. Texas is betting on the classroom. Thousands of agriculture instructors are now teaching everything from precision machine operation to meat processing, building a workforce for a state expected to hold close to 50 million people by 2050. 50 million mouths on shrinking ground with fewer hands. Which brings us back to those egg signs on the fence posts. Nobody repainted them. Not because the folks who put them up are careless, because they have watched this cycle turn enough times to know that today's price is not information. It is weather. It blows through. The sign was right in January and wrong by June, and it will probably be right again, and the fence post does not care either way. That is the difference between the people who write down the numbers and the people who live underneath them. The numbers moved. 32 billion became something else. 127 million acres became 125. $6 a dozen became 2. Every headline in that old telling has expired. The ground did not. The ground is exactly where it was, doing exactly what it does, keeping a record nobody publishes and nobody can revise. Next time out, we follow that record into the strangest thing happening on Texas grass right now, which is the outfit quietly paying ranchers more per acre than cattle ever have. And it has nothing to do with beef. Until then, take care of yourself. The land keeps its own ledger.